Mahindra surprised us at its traditional Independence Day mega showcase event with the announcement of the global pickup for India. Now, we know it was going to South Africa and Australia and meant for export markets, but Mahindra says it will come to India in 2027 and join the other pickups over here. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this week's edition of Deep Ride, powered by Kotak Mahindra Prime, on the pickup market in India and what the potential is and who are the players coming and a little bit of the history itself. I'm Hormazd Sorabjee.
And I'm Sergius Barretto. And yes, who would have thought we'd have a podcast on pickup trucks, right? And that too, lifestyle pickup trucks. I mean, it is hardly a segment. But in the last month and a half, we've seen two lifestyle pickups, right?
And I think I'm glad you qualified it. I should have said it. Lifestyle pickups, because pickups have been there,
Right.
commercial use. Mahindra
Yes,
really roost over there. But I think absolutely the lifestyle.
The Hilux, we had the Hilux, just about a month and a half ago, the new Hilux, the updated one.
And the unveil of the Mahindra
The lifestyle.
production version of the global pickup, what we call the Lifestyler. Yeah, the name. Not so sure about the name. But,
Right.
really, absolutely. But I think, Sergius, what's interesting is that I think many may have forgotten that Tata Motors passenger car journey in 1988 started with a pickup.
Yes,
The 207,
Yeah.
the 207 pickup that really started. That was the base for the Sierra and the Estate.
Yes.
And I think people tried to make lifestyle versions out of that as well, isn't it? Yeah.
They did actually, you're right. In fact, people used that and tried lifestyle versions of it, bigger alloy wheels, aftermarket ACs. And I think some went as far as putting canopies on the rear to make it an SUV. Take it out, those, detachable canopies as such. So, I mean, you're right. In fact, Tata Motors, they started their passenger car journey with that. The 207 also, actually, Hormazd then had the Xenon, as it was called. And that was also like a lifestyle pickup, right?
Correct.
Marketed.
Yeah. And in fact, I think, but it was again mainly for the export market.
Yeah.
I think even Tata Motors set up a facility in Thailand.
Right.
Because Thailand is the second largest pickup market in the world after the US. But, competing against the Isuzu and Toyotas, a tough task. They did have to finally pack up. But I think with that, you had the Xenon XT, which came with the 2.2 liter diesel, which was in the
Dicor engine.
The Dicor engine for India as well.
For India, the Dicor engine, you had some creature comforts inside. You also had 4x4 and 4x2. So kind of, I would say, like a serious stab at a lifestyle off-roader. You had the capabilities in terms of the powertrain, four-wheel drive, etc. You had some creature comforts back in that day, at least. There were creature comforts to see.
That's right.
In fact, and it did look quite the part also. Nicely styled.
It did. I think the styling was really good. I really liked the look of it. But again, really very, very small volumes for private buyers.
Correct.
And then I think, post BS6, it all changed.
Right.
I think regulations also changed. You had the M1 regulations being pretty strict as far as emissions go. So actually that killed the
Passenger.
The Dicor for BS6. The Hexa went with that.
Yeah.
But funnily enough, the 2.2 continued in the Xenon, which has become the Yodha. Right now, as we know it, but that is strictly a commercial vehicle. Now, it's important to know that commercial vehicle, the regulations are slightly more lenient. The whole idea is to make it a little bit more accessible because don't forget, these vehicles are the backbone of the Indian economy. You can't let them get too pricey. So you do have leaner or not as strict regulations as for private vehicles, and the classification is M1 for the private and N1 for commercial, where they do have certain stipulations that the GVW has to be about 3.5 ton, something like that.
Yeah.
So I think the Yodha, became a commercial vehicle. But what I hear from Tata Motors, they did try to kind of get it back to a private vehicle. They had this plan to give it a kind of a military look, make it a little tough and reposition it as a lifestyle product. But I think, again, the regulation challenge didn't allow them to do that. Yeah. And then, of course, Mahindra, not to be left out, I think they had the Mahindra Getaway, which again was an export-only vehicle to start with. Because clearly, India is not a traditional pickup market the way it is everywhere else.
Yeah, the Getaway, in fact, was the Scorpio, pickup. So they had the Scorpio version. You had, again, a single cab, dual cab, like you had with the Tata. And interestingly, actually, you're right. It was primarily an export focus.
Yeah, it made the debut in South Africa.
Yeah.
And then in Australia. So basically South Africa and Australia where this was absolutely primarily export.
And they've continued developing it. In fact, what is very interesting to see, I mean, till date, you have in South Africa, you have variants of that. So you've got the Getaway, yes. They have something called the Karoo, Karoo, which is like a more jacked up version, a little more capable and purposeful looking. Sharper cut bumpers for better approach angles. So you can see that they've actually developed that product, but we've never seen this product in India at all. We've seen the Getaway in India. Eventually, it did make it.
Yeah, eventually Getaway came in. I think the logic is like, look, we are exporting it. Let's try giving it a shot in our home market as well.
Right.
However small it is, because the cost of development, all that has been done. It's just homologation for the Indian market. But everything is there. It's tooled up. And if you get a little bit more volume, that can only help in the auto industry where scale and volumes, is important.
Yeah. And I think if we're talking Mahindra, they'd probably lay claim to the lifestyle pickup, saying the camper was also there, the Bolero camper. Although I don't think, that would be a little bit of a stretch, maybe, the Bolero camper. But yeah, they did have that as well in, this sort of segment. Yeah. But I think, you're right. The Getaway would be Mahindra's answer or the starting point for this segment.
But I think really the pickup revolution started with the Isuzu, the V-Cross.
Correct.
Because I think that was their maiden product, two-door, four-door, and clearly, again, very, very small volumes. But when Isuzu comes in with just that one model, you know that they're going to be putting a lot behind it. And clearly, where it was positioned as a lifestyle product. And very interesting is that the profile of the customer was quite unique. I mean, it was someone, you would have thought someone in tier 1 towns where there's a lot of wealth, but actually it wasn't. It was more for tier 2 towns where there's a lot more space.
Right.
Because from what we understand, talking to the Isuzu guys, that pickup owners need to have space.
These are big pickups.
These are big vehicles. Yeah, they're not meant for let's say congested streets. Right. You need space, and I think it's never the first vehicle. Always, it's maybe the second or the third. So customers are quite demanding as well. They need their vehicles to be tough, absolutely reliable, absolute workhorses, because they really, batter these vehicles. So that's what they do. And I think, so clearly, I think Isuzu gained a reputation for its reliability. And then you had Toyota with the Hilux coming in, which really is the king of pickups globally.
Right.
Indestructible. Nothing can go wrong with it. It just goes through everything. And I think obviously it was cashing in on that, but it really didn't do well originally.
Yeah, in fact, it didn't. For its segment, although if you look at versus the Isuzu, and I think I have the numbers here. If you look at the Isuzu, it did outsell the Isuzu, of course. So from an India perspective, it was much better off.
And just one thing, in fact, a word of thanks also. All this data we get from our friends Ankush Gangani of Ferrari Rules 86. Follow him on Twitter. You get a good insight and, let's say, number crunching of all the vehicles in the Indian market, and Suhail, electric EV. So you can follow those two good friends of ours. And again, thanks a lot for the data, you guys. Well, Sergius, what's interesting is that, that first year of the Hilux, as you said, it wasn't a full year of sales, but there's a reason for that. They launched it and then they suddenly pulled it off the market.
Right.
I think the official reason was, I'm not sure.
Kit supply is what they
said, but I think that wasn't the reason.
Okay.
The real reason was something very clever they did. They relaunched or re-registered the Hilux in the N1G category.
Okay.
So N1 is pure commercial, which means, you need a commercial license to drive it. So obviously yellow plate and all, not for the private buyer. But when you bring the subcategory of G, it qualifies as an off-roader.
Right.
But to do that, to qualify as an off-roader, actually this has come from the EU homologation norms, which have just been fit over, let's say in a way translated. To qualify for the N1G category, it has to have some form of locking differential, limited slip for a lock differential, certain angles of approach and departure, certain ground clearance, gradability, that sort of thing,
Right.
to prove it's an off-roader.
Right.
So then there's a separate category for off-roaders, which get the leaner N1 or the not so strict N1 regulations.
Right.
So I think that was very clever. So,
And with the N1G, you can now perhaps register it as a private use.
that's right, exactly. With the N1G, you can register as a private use because you're registering it as an off-roader.
Right, because pure N1 is commercial.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right.
So N1G is for off-roaders. So within that, so I think that's why they actually pulled it off the market for a couple of. Not many people know this, but this is what it is. The N1G. That's where it was registered at, and I think clearly. Some of the Isuzu guys knew about it. They were jumping up and down that, this is what Toyota has done. But yeah, I think it was quite a clever thing. So, and I think, Sergius, let's get to the Hilux. You've driven it. I have not.
Yeah.
Clearly, new body, but really not too much else. I don't know if it's a case of if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because this thing will never break. So you'll never need to fix it. But in a way, disappointing in terms of the kit they've given. So
yes.
in a way, I'm hoping Mahindra, whatever, gives them a little bit of a jolt because, though, in terms of what the Hilux is, it'll be hard pressed for Mahindra to really match that reputation. But at a good price with a lot of features, I'm sure they can do something. But coming to the Hilux themselves, it's almost like it's, does it smack a bit of arrogance that, we don't even give the EPS, which is there on the international variants?
Or climate control. It's a manual AC for India, which was there on the previous car. So, you've got a lot of things that have been done away with. There's no rear wiper defogger. And we drove it in the rain. It was fogging up. So, yeah, you're right, one was a lot of equipment missing. It's really funny. In fact, it's a lifestyle pickup. How I would sum it up with this new gen, as they call it, the new gen, they've gone down on the lifestyle bit, at least for the India spec, and up actually on the pickup bit. Because, they've added the side steps to get into the pickup more easily. Earlier, it was only a sort of rear step. They strengthened the ladder frame. So actually, it's okay, they rebodied, but they've also done work to the chassis. That's, like you said, it's the thing that never breaks and the last thing you touch. But for whatever reason, they've made it tougher still. They've got thicker long members, so thicker steel used there to improve rigidity beyond what the Hilux already was. Of course, there's internationally also an EV, an electric version. So obviously the frame needs to be, sort of a different design to accommodate that battery inside, because it's a one-piece battery, not a split battery.
Right.
So they have changed actually quite a bit. They moved from hydraulic to electric internationally. India, for, again, like you said, for whatever reason, they've not given that. So they've done a lot of work, but for India, somehow, they've gone back on the features. They've held back a lot on the features.
I think the bottom line is they don't have competition, so they know they can get away with it for the volumes they are. I think it looks dramatically different.
It does.
So I think clearly it's quite modern that way.
It's very sharp edge now. They call it cyber sumo or something like that. So it's still big, but very, robot-like.
That's right.
But I would say it's a funny update in the sense that a lot of people have asked us also. In fact, you all have all asked saying, is it a new gen or is it a facelift? It's actually smack bang in the middle because, it's a facelift in terms of, it's a rebodied and things like that. But they have carried over stuff, the powertrain, chassis too, but then the long members have been altered, and that is re-engineering, to
And
do
you've
that.
got new sheet metal now.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it is. You could see why Toyota call it a new gen. With the new code and all as well. But I think in terms of capability, Hormazd full marks. Right. We've seen the previous car. Same here. They had this specially curated off-road course.
Right.
And then we went off into some trails. At no point did you feel like it was breaking a sweat. Even these curated courses, when they do it, they're always engineered to bring out the max in the car. This one just didn't feel like it was being challenged at all.
Yeah.
So it just has that ability to just keep going and going, So, there's four-wheel low as well, low ratio. We didn't even use it once. 4x4 was enough, the regular. I didn't touch the, low ratio. So, yeah, very capable. for sure, no doubt. I'm sure the payload capacity, it's about 600 odd kgs. They can definitely take more also. But yes, like you said, I guess, it's a bit of maybe, arrogance. It's a Toyota. People are paying premiums on a Fortuner, and you and I keep discussing this very often, right?
I mean, as I say, you can't put enough of a price on reliability, and that's really where Toyota aces it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, but let's talk about the Mahindra Lifestyler.
Right.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it was, fundamentally, this is a global product, the Lifestyler. In fact, the Lifestyler name is what it's going to be in the global market. For India, they said it would be Scorpio Lifestyler. Oddly enough, I mean, Mahindra did invite the global media. I met up a few friends from South Africa, from Australia, journalists who were there, and I asked them what they think about the car. Everyone said, yeah, well, it looks nice and things like that, but we're not sure about the name. So two journalists, actually, one from South Africa and Australia, both didn't like the name. They felt it was too
much of a poser's name.
Too only flashy, not with substances, as how one guy put it.
Because I think over there, these pickups are really used as proper pickups, and no nonsense.
Correct.
The kind of people who use them really tough, really use them. They pack them absolutely for practical reasons, not so much only for lifestyle reasons, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Velu is very excited, though he's not saying what it is, that he's really worked on the suspension to, let's say, work at two extremes, very difficult, which is with a big payload and without a payload, so
that's
really
on the
to have a
Hilux,
suspension which manages both extremes is very difficult. But they're talking that they've done something. We'll have to wait and watch until that happens. I think clearly with Mahindra coming in, this segment is going to expand. By how much, we don't know. And I think we can say that confidently, because when the Thar 3-door came, we were quite skeptical how much would it sell. And it just sold in thousands rather than the hundreds it was doing earlier. I think also the timing is right from, let's say, people wanting these kind of vehicles. There is, let's say, a taste for the great outdoors to, take this somewhere, to have something that also is makes a sort of statement. I mean, in the US and Thailand, people hardly use the beds or hardly put anything in them. They just go empty most of the time. So I think I don't know how it will be over here. But I'm sure people will have some utility of it. But what I think Mahindra will do is, I think we might see a bump up in power. I think logically you could have a 200 horsepower diesel, and maybe the petrol might even go higher. That would be the next phase, because this will be a heavy vehicle. So I think with this will come the let's say, the improvements on the engine. And when it comes in 27, of course, new emission norms, the CAFE norms, all that is there. So I think there will be a fresh set of engines also for this. And I think also the front points to the next generation Scorpio. So it's always this leapfrogging of one model coming and, in the family.
Right.
So obviously it's part of the Scorpio family. And then, the updates on that are then carried over when the next version gets updated as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's what it's going to be. But I think, interesting market. I mean, but still, I mean, I don't know who would use this kind of car. What would you use it for example?
Yeah, I mean, Hormazd, in fact, talking to a lot of people who have these vehicles. In fact, in Goa, a few of my friends do. There's like three types of customers. One is, let's say, the guy who actually uses it for dual purpose. So he needs the bed in the back and to take 4 people, farm produce, guys who own farms. In fact, I have some friends who have they have a piggery, they've got their own farm. So they use, dual purpose. Then there's the pure poser, who just wants that, I have this tough image and all that stuff. Likes it for whatever reason. Not to say that it's bad, but it's just bought for the aesthetic value. Like you said, a lot of people in the US buy pickups for that sort of macho image. And then there's the guy who actually uses it hardcore for work only. So it's maybe for crew transport. But apparently for these kind of vehicles in India, it's that middle segment which is the largest, the dual purpose.
Yeah, I think so. And I think, honestly, I'm thinking what I would use it for. I would have a use case for it because, I go to Mahabaleshwar quite often.
Yes.
And there's always stuff to take. And very often we've had to send it by transport. Maybe something like a table or a desk or something like that, which can't fit in a boot. It's too high.
Right.
This would be absolutely ideal. You want to take a small gen set with you, you can do it over here. I know a friend who regularly takes his bike, all the way to trail bike, all the way to Panchgani,
Right.
and puts it on the flatbed, and then takes it off there and rides it. So I think there can be a fair bit of use for it. I mean, people who want to use quad bikes,
Yes.
I think, obviously, it's quite an expensive way of transporting it, but that's what it would be, because quad bikes, again, they can't be used on normal road. Transporting them, they need some form of, let's say, a pickup or a mini truck.
Correct.
And this would be ideal.
Yeah, in fact,
so I think, and I think if it comes at a reasonable price and it's well equipped, where it's comfortable and plush enough to double up as a private car without the bed being used, I think there would be a case. I think it's still a very small niche, hard to say, but I would say that Mahindra could double this, expand it or double this segment immediately once coming out. I think for them, Mahindra itself, to do about 4,000 a year is pretty easy. Yeah.
In fact, you're right, Hormazd. That's actually probably the fourth category. You said it's niche, right? But the adventurer, let's call them. I mean, people who, like you said, put their quad bikes on the back or trail bikes, go off camping. I mean, Toyota themselves had a specially outfitted camper, at the launch. So done by a private company in Bangalore. I'm forgetting the name, but we'll have that up, of course. And they had everything in there, from a bed, a table in there, small sink, little kitchenette kind of thing. So and apparently I was talking to the owner of that company. He said they've been doing this for about 1.5 or close to 2 years, and they've already sold 11 vehicles. So yeah, small numbers, but
Right.
It's there. It's significant. It's somebody who started a company to outfit campers.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
yeah, I think adventurers would also like
I mean,
that style.
I think definitely dual purpose for stuff which is very hard to put in the boot of a car or even a big SUV. Something that's very, very tall. Bicycles, trail bikes,
Exactly.
any kind of two-wheeler, gen sets. As I said, a little bit of moving furniture here and there, big cartons. I think, very often you're just happy to carry it yourself rather than let it go in transport, because, it just gives you, you just feel better about it. It's just behind over there.
Right.
I don't know what the regulations are typically, but at least, now there's no octroi also that people just stop you and say that that can be a
That
problem.
was a problem, yes.
That was a problem. You don't have octroi limits now. So again, you don't have that hassle. That was really a hassle sometime, where you showed any form of commercial goods.
Yeah.
People would stop you and say, have you paid octroi? Typically.
They would. I mean, I had almost shifting about 15 years ago. I had the Punto. I folded the rear seats down, carried some luggage, and I was stopped at octroi.
Right,
So,
yeah.
I mean, in a car,
In a hatchback, yeah, definitely. In a pickup, that would be right.
Exactly.
So that's gone. So I think conditions are good for these kind of
Good for
vehicles.
this.
I think absolutely, and I think there is an appetite for experience these days. And people want to kind of really, get out there in the outdoors, and I think these sort of vehicles really lend to that.
Yeah, and Hormazd, when you said double the volume, Mahindra could. You're right. I mean, they could double the volume of the segment volume, because we know it's going to be cheaper.
Yeah.
They announced the starting price. They didn't give prices, of course,
About
but
sub 20 lakhs. isn't it?
sub 20, 19.79 or less than 19.79, as he stressed
Right.
the ex-showroom price would be. So, obviously competitive would find more takers because of its
that's right.
price point as well.
Right. And I mean, the 2.8 liter in the Hilux is pretty strong, but the 2.2 in the Mahindra is a pretty competent engine as well. And I'm sure, knowing Mahindra, they do something to it. They know they have to be competitive. And I think clearly, I think they will play the game with features and everything where Toyota doesn't want to do, So I think they showed 3 variants of it already, isn't it?
Correct.
At the launch.
Yeah, 3 different sort of expressions, as they call it, and we did peep underneath, although they didn't specify any text spec, but it was 4-wheel drive. The car displayed there, so you had a rear diff and front half shafts. So yeah, they have 4x4 capability.
No, I
also.
think it has to be
has to
4x4 capability. I mean, I think maybe Mahindra can also go into N1G, and I don't know if they will do that, but I think clearly, I think it's a case of, let's say, someone getting serious about the pickup market and expanding it, but really remains to be seen how big this niche will grow to. Of course, it will continue to be a niche, but it's another kind of body style already been existing. But again, it's been brought into focus when one of the biggest manufacturers comes and launches in this very, very small niche. Of course, really, it remains to be seen how the segment will grow. But of course, it is quite significant because we are aligning ourselves slowly to what's happening in global markets, and these sort of recreational vehicles are finding appeal. And that's what Mahindra is also banking on. And, it could even make increase the demand for Isuzu and Toyota because, the more people that talk about this segment, the more products that are, the whole pickup segment can grow. Well, that's it from us on this week's episode of Deep Drive. Do hope you enjoyed watching it, and please do keep tuning in every Saturday at 11 a.m. So till then, see you again next week, same time. Thanks for watching.